I'm going to do a short introduction, and then I'm just going to hand this over to our team today to carry us through. My name is Giselle. This is Slow Food Live. If you're not familiar with slow food, it is an international grassroots movement that began in Italy 30 years ago. We champion and support good, clean, and fair food for all. That is the mission of Slow Food, and Slow Food Live is our way of bringing slow food into your homes during this time when we're all at home and don't get to gather around a table or in a kitchen with each other. Today, we're super excited to welcome the Meatless Monday and League of Kitchens team, kind of doing a combo here, which is really fun and exciting to get into your pantry items that are overlooked and underloved and talk about what you can do with them. Meatless Monday is a longtime partner and supporter of slow food, advocates for on a very simple level, one day without meat, a Monday without meat. I'm going to let Richard tell us more about Meatless Monday and Dana as well. We have Lisa and Mob from League of Kitchens with us. Without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to Richard McCarthy, who is the Meatless Monday Ambassador to Slow Food International. Richard, thank you all for being here. Richard, thanks for putting this together, and thanks to all of you for being here today. We're really grateful for your time and happy to have you.
Oh, Giselle, thank you so much. Let's see, am I being heard? Do I need to share screens? I probably need to do something like that.
We can see you and hear you. You're good.
I'm good to go?
You're good to go.
Wonderful. Welcome, everyone. And thank you, Giselle, and for the marvelous Slow Food USA team for pulling these incredible together while apart sessions. And today I'm really thrilled to have two of the partners I'm most excited to be working with in Meatless Monday and the League of Kitchens, for which I am a huge fan. I have been collaborating, and Slow Food has been collaborating with Meatless Monday. For the last year, we've been working with Slow Food International and Meatless Monday to make Mondays not as it is often translated into Mandarin as Sad Monday. Meatless Monday should be an adventure, a culinary adventure to the world. And so we've been sharing the biological biodiversity of the world's cuisines, which tend to center around grains and legumes and vegetables, with weekly stories and recipes on the Slow Food International site as part of the Meet the Change campaign. And we thought, what better way to bring this all together than with the League of Kitchens. And also, we have found as we were in the midst of this partnership, and our world has turned rather topsy-turvy, that many of us are rediscovering our pantry, rediscovering ingredients that we somehow wound up with, we purchased, and we're trying to figure out, my goodness, what do I do with them? Whether we are lucky enough to be sheltering in place, or if we are working as an essential worker, regardless, we're trying to squeeze our resources and our time and our creativity, and we've got a great team today who can help us with each of these as we navigate this kitchen quarantine. But I think to get us started, it might be great to share this wonderful introductory film that Meatless Monday has prepared.
Every day, people around the world are eating very different things. However, in many parts of the world, we're eating the same thing: too much meat, and it's affecting our health and the health of the planet. But on Monday, we can start doing something about it. Join the Meatless Monday movement and cut out meat one day a week. When we lower our meat consumption and discover the power of plant-based protein, our hearts get healthier, we lower our risk of cancer, and we reduce the risk of diabetes and reach healthier weights. And by going Meatless Monday, we help the earth get healthier along with us. By skipping one burger, a person can save 10 bathtubs full of water and enough energy to power a smartphone for 6 months. And if everyone in the world skipped meat for just one day, we would eliminate the amount of greenhouse gas emissions it would take to drive to the moon and back 100,000 times. With more innovative plant-based recipes being developed every day, it's easier than ever to find delicious alternatives to meat. So join Meatless Monday, a simple and powerful global movement creating healthier people and a healthier planet.
And so with that, I would love to introduce to you Dana Smith with Meatless Monday, who is here today from New York. Hello, Dana.
Hi, Richard, and hi, everyone. It's so great to be here. It's, of course, great to see people while we're all sort of locked down on our own, and it's great to see new faces. But thank you for having me. So I am the campaign director for Meatless Monday. As you just saw in the film, we really encourage people to choose plant-based options instead of meat 1 day a week, and we talk about the benefits that has for our planet as well as our personal health. But the thing we focus on when we work with slow food is the amazing plant-based options that we have. As Richard said, Monday shouldn't be a drag, and in our world they're quite the opposite. Monday is a day to explore culinary creativity, to try new plant-based foods. And as you'll see as we go throughout this presentation, we did a fun survey to see what are people stuck with while they're home during this quarantine. And we're gonna hopefully get some advice from League of Kitchens as to what do we do with these items. So really excited to be here.
Oh, that's great. Welcome. Thank you, Dana. It has been exciting, the world of recipes and culinary traditions we've been sharing these last few months, from the Philippines to rural Missouri, from Denmark to gosh, I'm trying to think of where else. We've been, well, throughout rural Italy, where in particular beans and legumes, and especially beans and legumes on the slow food arc of taste, are an exciting opportunity to rediscover our regional and local food traditions. And that is, of course, at the core of what is so exciting about the League of Kitchens, and why we're so excited to have Lisa Gross, the founder of the League of Kitchens, with us here today. Some of you may have seen Lisa speak at Slow Food Nations. Maybe some of you have been lucky enough to actually work your way into some of those kitchens. And I'd love, Lisa, for you to just give sort of the overview of this extraordinary social enterprise.
So thanks, Richard, and thanks, everyone. This is so fun. This is my first Zoom panel. I'm just very excited. So in normal times, the League of Kitchens is a culturally immersive cooking experience in New York City, where all of our instructors are immigrant women who are amazing, exceptional home cooks, like Mab, you'll be hearing from her later, who really do everything using traditional techniques and methods, and are incredible teachers and hosts. And our students, in small groups, just 6 students, will go into our instructors' homes and really have this very rich, culturally immersive cooking and eating experience. So actually now, in this crazy time, we've actually just moved our classes online. Mab is one of 2 instructors currently teaching online, Mab and our Uzbek instructor Demira, and we're slowly bringing all of our instructors online. And interestingly, the first 2 menus that Mab and Demira are teaching are both vegetarian. And it's not because we decided we need to have a vegetarian menu, but just because we wanted to find 2 great, interesting, accessible menus that people could cook with things that are readily available right now, and they just ended up being vegetarian. And I think that's something, Richard, you and I have talked a lot about, how in most cuisines around the world, meat was something that you had for special occasions, or once a week, or for holidays, or for birthdays. It wasn't an everyday kind of thing. So every cuisine around the world has these wonderful dishes that happen to be vegetarian, that are grains, legumes, vegetables. And that's definitely one of the things that we teach and explore in our classes.
Now they are online, just like we are right now.
Right.
And so whether you are, and from what I can imagine, the remarkable model is that newly arrived, or not newly arrived, immigrant communities come to our country, the US, with an extraordinary set of skills and knowledge, some of which are professional skills and knowledge, and others are traditional ones. And because of the proximity and intimacy of these teaching culinary lessons, it is much a venue for building that social capital and that transfer of knowledge. And I think building beyond the relationships of learning about food, but learning about the people and the extraordinary leaders that you have helped to bring to the foreground. And with that, I'd love for you to introduce Mahboubeh, who is with us today, or Mab. And welcome, Mab, and thrilled that you are here. And would you both love to just talk about your partnership? And you've got an extraordinary story, Mab, as an activist and a leader in your own right.
Hi everyone. Hi 82 people in online and all of slow cooking panels here. It is really incredible that we can sit in beautiful spring day in home and talk with people about our experience during our, I can say, surviving mood. And for me, as an immigrant, it's not the first experience as a the situation that we have for surviving and also trying to be mindfulness, trying to be focused, trying to be having meaningful life. So this long experience that I had in my country as an activist, like during war, during revolution, during my exile from Iran. In the beginning of this quarantine was like a flashback. It was same. And then Lisa called me, said, Mab, what do you think? We are going online. We want to make video. I said, really? I am in lots of flashback from my past. And for a few weeks, I couldn't do anything except talking with my mom and with my aunts and connecting with them through their experience about the kind of the war or what happened for my grandma during this kind of the like searching in your past and finding similar situation and finding what was a strategy of your family and your mom to survive. And I find really incredible history in my family about how they use kitchen as a safe space for feeling better, for feeling good, and how they support their family in home by cooking the best things from their pantries. Then I started to talk with I had like every other day with my mom and my aunt and my other aunts, and then my like from one to another, like asking from different women in my family about different recipe from their pantry. And interesting things, they were not meat-based. They were all about the beans and about the dry herbs and about the dry nuts and dry fruit. Because my family's background is from mountain, and they always have a very hard winter time, and maybe for 6 months they don't have fresh things. And then also I find out about the form of like a design of kitchen in like a during time that there wasn't electricity in my mom's childhood. And it was like how they had two different kitchen, and then how they dry their food in winter for winter, and how they gather with each other and serve food. So I started to make a recipe of them, and every day I had a practice to make one of dish that my aunt said, or your mom, and always ask them, tell me about the story. What was the background of that? And then so it was kind of maybe my connection with my like a past and my history. it's make me more safe to connect with my family in Iran and ask them about what happened during the same time, like 100 years ago or 50 years ago, or during war, and what was their story and how they made happy their family. Then, and I felt very like a extraordinary experience about that. I designed lots of, I just recreate the menu recipe based on beans and herbs and fruits. And I think our first menu was something like that. Yeah, Lisa.
So really the resilient kitchen, food is so much more than fuel. It is story and resistance, and the extraordinary stubborn ability to use and cook with what we have.
Yeah, it is because food, it's for me, in my experience, food is connected with the healing. Like for me, I do cooking because of my healing, because I am suffering from many post-trauma disorder stress because of my hard life as an activist in Iran, and also my sexual orientation, and my being several times because of my peaceful activism in prison, and then leaving my country just in one night and being far from my kids and my family for more than 10 years now. So it is not just cooking for me. It is connecting with my with the so many meaning, with so many layer of the life in my past, and it's give me meaningful life, like, and it's give me good feeling. I just meditate and I say, okay, what is your feeling as a elite, I used to be very elite feminist activist professional, always in different meetings, traveling different country, not very conscious about my body and food and these things, and just eating because of the pleasure and gathering and socializing, but no more meaning. It has meaning, but not more. But then when I connect with my body, and then throughout that I connected with my dad. Always I had fight with my dad because he was kind of very traditional man, religious. I was like a underground lesbian feminist. So food and history of food in Iran and local food, my appreciation about local food connected me with my father. It's like a the story. I don't know how long I can talk. Just
Well,
stories. Yeah,
well, actually, that's actually probably a pretty good stopping point, because I want to come back to that, because I think this connection that food is a bridge. It's a bridge to our past. It's a bridge to things we've repressed and suppressed, maybe for our own sanity.
Yes.
And I think in this day and age, in the United States in particular, it is a bridge to other cultures. And it maybe takes us beyond our comfort level. And I think, Dana, you would probably agree that one of the exciting things about Meatless Monday is it takes people beyond their comfort level. They're like, oh my goodness, I can't imagine cooking something without meat. We do it for a variety of reasons, whether it is for our body or the planet or for the welfare of animals, but it's also for the adventure. And so if I can hold that, Mab, for a second, I'd love to turn to Lisa to maybe set up, we want to watch a short, just a smattering of the kinds of insights that the League of Kitchens has. And I think we have one that's perfect for Meatless Monday. If I can also turn to Giselle, if you could key this up, because I seem incapable of doing it technologically. We're going to get to enjoy a little smattering of Mab, one of your colleagues from Argentina, Mirta. Isn't that right, Lisa?
Yep. So I'll just say also that one thing we've started during this COVID time is we started to work with our instructors to make short instructional cooking videos that we're sharing on our Instagram and Facebook page. And we're really focusing on simple, easy recipes that are using either pantry ingredients or kind of storage vegetables, simple things. And actually, as an aside, I don't think we could have gotten our instructors to do this in normal times because they're all learning how to make videos of themselves at home on their phones and how to upload them to Google Drive and all this stuff. And they're great. And so one of the videos we're about to watch, or the video we're about to watch, is our Argentinian instructor Mirta sharing her recipe for chimichurri. And that traditionally is a sauce for meat, but she actually in one of her classes teaches a fantastic portobello mushroom recipe where she marinates portobello mushrooms in the chimichurri and then grills them like on a flat cast iron surface, very hot, and she actually melts provolone on top of it, and then you spoon more chimichurri on it, and it's amazing. I made it a few years ago, and so this is an example of a sauce that's so central to Argentinian cuisine, which you think when meat is very central to Argentinian cuisine.
Absolutely.
But this sauce is so fresh and delicious and is a great sauce for anything, any vegetable, bread, anything. So yes.
Fantastic.
So
here we go.
Excellent. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Mirta, the Argentinian instructor for the League of Kitchens. I was born in Mendoza, Argentina. In my state is where the Malbec comes from, and so we have great wines in my state. I live in the States for 45 years, and I always keep my traditions in my cuisine. I like to experiment with different cultures, but this is our most popular sauce to marinate meat particularly, but I marinate vegetables, anything, any piece of meat, chicken, pork, and it's very popular. So what I'm going to show you is first the ingredients that I'm going to use. So the ingredients that I'm going to be using for the chimichurri are 4 cloves of garlic, 1 tablespoon of red pepper flakes, 1 tablespoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of paprika, a big bunch like this of fresh parsley, 1 cup of oil, and 2 tablespoons of balsamic. So for my particular recipe, I use balsamic vinegar, and the original Argentinian recipe calls for red wine vinegar instead. But this is my recipe. So what we need is to chop very fine the parsley. So now I'm going to shred the garlic. There are 4 cloves of garlic. Very fine like this. And now all we have to do is just add the fresh parsley to the jar. The glass jar is so handy. To put everything in this glass jar. So I will add the black pepper, the oregano, salt, paprika, red pepper flakes, 1 cup of olive oil, and 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. And this chimichurri sauce is ready. And shake it hard, and we'll have the chimichurri sauce ready. This sauce is, I use it a lot in my classes. I make some tapas. We make choripan and add the chimichurri. So I hope you enjoy it, and always keep this jar with cover with oil. If you are going to use this chimichurri and you're going to take a spoon of chimichurri to cook anything, you take the spoon, and what you do after, make sure that you cover the surface with oil. It has to be covered with oil at all times. Put it back in the refrigerator. You use another part and keep adding oil, so it's always covered with oil. Now this chimichurri is very good today, but tomorrow it's better because it soaked all the juices, and it will be delicious, trust me. So in Argentina, we make chimichurri with parsley only, but you can be creative. If you have cilantro, or if you have mint, or you have arugula, you can make your own pesto that way as well. And this will last in the refrigerator for about 3 to 4 weeks. So enjoy it.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And I love the storage tips. It's all the little things that as we experiment, we often don't know about, don't think about. And I also love seeing that precarious dynamic balance between innovation and tradition, because your instructors, Lisa, they're reinventing their traditions far away from home, which is, how many different countries do you work
So
with
we
women?
currently have 12 instructors. We have 2 who I was about to start training right before this happened, a woman from Indonesia and a Russian Jewish woman. And so I'm actually hoping to train them remotely and have them also start teaching online. So very soon it will be 14 instructors.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now I do have parsley on my balcony, and I'm now thinking about dinner and mushrooms.
It's a great recipe. I adore it. And I've actually, I've tried a few different chimichurri recipes I've seen, and I do think Mirtez is particularly delicious.
Well, and I love the idea of using a jar,
Yeah.
because you shake it. It's less cleanup. I also love the fact that she used every little bit of garlic, no waste. It's
Yeah.
right up our alley. Fantastic. Well, I'd love to bring Dana in. If again, who knows if I'm good at sharing my screen. Can you see a screen, my screen, Meatless Monday editorial and social media during COVID-19?
Not yet.
Okay. Giselle, is there something I'm silly and I just haven't done? Do I need to share my screen again?
Yeah, I think you just want to do it one more time.
I can do that.
Yeah, here we go.
I know what I'm doing.
Perfect. All right, we've got
There we
you.
go. Okay, great.
Excellent.
So Dana, I mean, one thing that I think is extremely, important in our work is that, Meatless Monday is about the individual choices we make and the knowledge that we learn in our kitchen and from leaders and instructors near and far. It's also about the political decisions we make collectively, and, the importance this school year of us actually getting Meatless Monday into the New York school district school-wide is a huge kind of impact on our lives. And then suddenly we're thrust into this living and existing from home. And I think you've been able to engage and see really interesting things from people from afar. And I'd love for you to share some of those insights.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, as Richard was saying, predominantly what we work on, as you say, in normal times, is a lot of getting Meatless Monday or just having really good plant-based options available when you're going, either going shopping, or if you're in, you know, an actual location, a cafeteria, if you will, that you're getting lunch at, a restaurant, and all these places where we try to have Meatless Monday activations are now no longer relevant. We're all at home. We're, in the earlier days, there was, you know, people were panic buying, so the supermarket shelves were empty. I've seen that kind of calm down a little bit, but we're still in a new world. And this notion of going to my school's cafeteria, or the kids being fed at school, or going to my favorite restaurant and trying to find a Meatless Monday dish is just not relevant anymore. So Richard, if you could go back to the screen share, I would love to show,
I'll do that right now.
What we, as we started to, you know, work from home, the Meatless Monday team, we were thinking about, you know, what can we produce that would be relevant and valuable to people? And we had to kind of shift our thinking and recognize that a lot of the work we're doing won't be, you know, on site or in person, and it will be through social media and connecting digitally. So, you know, starting to think about some topics that were really resonating and relevant to people. So I just kind of grabbed some things that we put out every Monday in our newsletter and on our social media, but you can see the kind of stories we're talking about now. Cheap plant-based pantry staples, big batched items to feed a family, easy meals to make with a can of beans. We also did a similar story on peanut butter, plant protein, nuts. And then of course, you know, there's just a lot of science behind plant-based eating being really good for your immune system and helping to boost your immune system. And, you know, nothing's more important than that right now. So what we do is identify topics, and then, you know, our website is chock full of recipes. So if anyone's ever looking for plant-based recipes, meatlessmonday.com. We have, you know, we have hundreds of recipes. So really good at this time to sort of identify what people have in their cabinets and helping them, you know, find easy ways to cook with them. And so we're not looking at exotic ingredients, and we're not talking about go shopping for this. It's kind of, okay, we're hunkering down, and what do you have in your kitchen? So if you can go to the next slide. And then another thing we started to do, which was really fun and we got a lot of engagement on, was coming up with some of, you know, you've probably been seeing these on social media and predominantly on Instagram, but coming up with fun challenges where we're asking people to engage with us. And so in the first example is a pantry staples bingo. So circle the items you have in your pantry and see if you could get bingo. And in the second one is just a really fun open-ended Q&A where we're asking, like, what's your go-to comfort food, or the foods that you miss right now. And then in the third one, we have a this or that. So we're asking people to sort of choose their favorite. And in all these cases, we were asking people to fill them out, but also to tag 2 or 3 friends that would then do it. So we started to see this viral, you know, thing happening where people were really getting into this pantry staples bingo. And so we said, okay, we're definitely onto something. People are at home, they have more time on their hands, and they're probably just frustrated with, you know, all the cooking that they have to do, and maybe the items that they're left with on their shelves. So that took us into next slide. You know, we came up with this global pantry challenge, and we wanted to figure out, and it wouldn't be the same in any, you know, very different depending on where you live and what part of the world you're from. But, you know, let's start in the US and try to identify what people are sort of stuck with in their homes. And early on, we came up with this notion of taking a pantry zero and making it a pantry hero. So your zeros are the things that, like, you open your cabinet and you're kind of, you've been looking at the same can of corn forever, or you've been looking at the can of beets, or maybe a package of oatmeal, what have you. So we decided to do a survey on social media to ask people, you know, what are you left with? And we gave them some choices. And our plan is to take the ingredients that people are left with and give them advice on how to use it. So next page, Richard.
Okay. Yeah, no, because what's wonderful about this is when we were pulling together the recipes for and the stories for Slow Food's website in Italy, we really shifted as they were, of course, ahead of us in the lockdown. All of our team in Italy were like, we're heading into lockdown, you know, these are ingredients, say like banana flours, that we're not going to find very easily. We need to really scale back to just the things we have in our kitchens. Now, you're right, or in our pantries. In Italy, it may be different than what you have in your pantry in Japan. But I think in the US, I think people are rediscovering deep, dark in the back of their cupboard, these things that either they've been staring at for years or you know, they've never known what to do with, or it hasn't inspired them. So that you found there were 3 top ingredients, right? So let's go with one of them.
Yeah, so after we did our social media surveys, we asked people to vote on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and we gave them choices. So it wasn't open-ended, but we did a little preliminary guessing and then gave them choices. And so the 3 zeros, I want to say, that came out of this were canned corn, kidney beans, and quinoa. So interesting.
Did that surprise you?
Yeah. I thought maybe the quinoa would surprise me a little bit because it's so popular and there's so many recipes around it and there's so many ways to make quinoa taste incredible. But as we started to talk about it and look at some of the dynamics, quinoa is also maybe something people are scared to tackle, or they've heard, oh, you got to rinse it first, or, you know, you need to jazz it up so much for it to taste delicious. So I think that was the sort of reason why quinoa ended up. And then, you know, canned corn and kidney beans, I'm not surprised. I think people stock up on that. People probably did stock up on a lot of canned foods. And we're also excited because they're just, you know, there's amazing ways to make these all into dinner heroes. So you also see here, this is some of the social media that we're starting to put out on our channels this week, where we're showing, okay, you identified canned kidney beans as your pantry zero, and we're going to turn it into a dinner hero. And in the quick week that we had, once the results were in till current day, we reached out to partners, chefs, friends, influencers, and said, hey, what do you recommend we do with these 3 ingredients? And so we're getting back all this information, and we're going to be sharing them on our social media channel. So make sure to follow us throughout the month of May, which is also Meatless May. And yeah, so that was our pantry challenge. And I'll just say one last thing. You know, we're also hoping that our global partners, we have, you know, Meatless Monday presence in over 40 countries. And of course, Slow Food has huge presence as well. And Legal Kitchens, obviously, you know, we're hoping that people might take this on in a global fashion and say, okay, in my country, here's the things we're kind of stuck with. And this is how chefs or nutritionists or influencers might recommend how to use them.
Yeah. And they should use the hashtag Meatless Monday if they post something.
You should use the hashtag Meatless Monday. That's how we track everything. And so we're excited to see sort of, this is the beginning of it. And we're, you know, the initial stage of seeing what a model could look like. And then we're encouraging global partners to do the same.
I mean, I find this fascinating as a longtime veteran of many hurricane seasons. This time of year is where my hometown of New Orleans, I would start to purchase those ingredients that you stock up for when you're going to have to hunker down. And then every winter after the season's over, you start pulling out these cans of this or that and think, oh my goodness, do I hold on to it for another year or should I start using it? And I think we're in this very strange period. I mean, for those of us who are in this great pause and looking for silver linings, I mean, one is connecting with family in ways that, you know, never thought would happen. I know that every night my daughter and I have been cooking with all kinds of strange ingredients we pull together. And it is a strange mishmash of industrial goods that are canned with boutique ingredients and things from the garden and whatnot. And I look at these three ingredients. Certainly industrialized corn and canned corn is in many, many pantries. Kidney beans. I mean, my gosh, it's the most mainstream bean, and yet people are intimidated by it, or they only can think of one thing to do with it. Or if they're not canned, they're dried beans, and they're intimidated by dried beans. Like, oh my gosh, how hard is it to dry them? And do I have time? Well, one thing we've got now is a little bit of time. We're not rushed with the, you know, the great commute. And then quinoa is such a fascinating one because, I mean, the story of quinoa is a little bit like every other food trend, that it goes from obscurity because it's an important, indigenous, resilient ingredient that becomes popularized, and then its popularity creates such disruption for local food sovereignty, and this is certainly the case in South America. People snap up quinoa because they're told it's this superfood, I should buy it, and then it sits in your pantry. And now you're stuck at home with it and you're trying to figure out what to do with it. And I guess my question to you, Mab, my goodness, you look into your pantry and you find these ingredients. What kind of things would you do with them?
Mhm.
Well, what strikes your fancy?
First, I never kept like a canned foods.
Do you ever
This is-
can yourself?
I do,
Uh-huh,
but
okay.
but we prefer to have a dry beans. It
Mhm.
comes from my dad culture. I told you that it's the things that made peace between me and my dad, who passed away. But it was how he appreciate local fresh food in his supermarket. He had a huge supermarket, local. So my culture is we make our own tomato paste, beans, pickle, everything that we normally here we buy from supermarket. So, and this is the recipe that I'm going to teach this week. I'm gonna
Mhm.
start from this week is exactly based on beans. Fava beans, it's really, it's
I think you use
doesn't-
lima beans actually.
lima, yeah.
right,
Lima
lima.
beans is easier than accessible. So
Mhm.
we have different white beans. They can go with this recipe, but all of the structure is same. We make it. We soak them in water from the night before, or if they are not very like like a lima bean, 3 hours is okay. And then we make a base with garlic, dry herbs. Cinnamon is very important. Cinnamon is very important, also cumin seed. So because with beans, we need some spices to balance between the side effect of beans in body and also make more comfortable digesting. So 4 elemental food, it's very important in our culture. So we use a spice based on different beans. So this is, so mixing between oil or ghee with the different oil, like a coconut oil or ghee with the...
Do you cook with a lot of ghee?
We make our own ghee,
Mhm.
yeah, but we don't use butter. I prefer to use avocado or sometime olive oil, coconut. This is part of our culture. Like we have thousands different type of oil, when you use it, how you use it. So it's very important how we use. But for this particular beans, I think coconut or ghee is the best. for base, and also using onion, saute onion or garlic, mixing with some dry herbs or fresh herbs. And then we boil separately our beans and then mix it together and let it to boil for a while. And it's really incredible side with the rice, or we can mix it with the other plant-based or other like a yogurt, or with the different things. So we can keep it in refrigerator for like a week or 2 weeks. So yeah, there is many different type of beans, but the easiest one is making base with coconut or ghee plus garlic, saute garlic or saute onion, and then add some dry herbs on that, and then a little bit make saute.
Which dry herbs would you put in?
We use mint or dill based on the type of beans. Like my recommendation is we eat the taste your food from your imagination. See what type of herbs you like, because the structure is same. Structure is same, and it's can also, we really care when we are boiling our beans. We add one cinnamon, like not the powder, the stick cinnamon, with the bay leaf on that. So it's gonna make it more creamy, more tasty. And also we can add different, like a tomato paste on that, or we can mix tomato paste with the different vinegar and add on that. This is like I work more on a structure of the beans, how we cook it, and then we can develop it for like a tons of the different beans. But in my culture, it's the structure is that. So I have lots of recipe from my aunt and my mom. I gonna put it online later. But the things we don't really use can.
No.
I think that one thing I'm hearing from you that's interesting for me is usually when I cook beans, I think of putting all the flavoring in the bean cooking liquid. And so it's interesting that the approach you're describing is cooking the soaked beans with a few aromatics, like a cinnamon stick. I know you've mentioned bay leaf before. And then draining them separately, sauteing onion and garlic, putting the drained cooked beans into that, and basically sauteing it with more layers of flavor with the garlic, onion, dried mint, or dried dill or cumin or whatever it is. So then, I think that structure could be used with any beans, including canned beans, that if you rinse them, you can add so much flavor by then sauteing those aromatics, adding the canned beans, adding the dry herbs or fresh herbs. Like the dish that Mab is going to be teaching starting next week, Abbasgholizadeh, is cooked lima beans with tons of fresh dill. That's sauteed like that. And that dish she's going to be teaching, actually, you can also top it with eggs, kind of shakshuka style. So I think just having that structure in mind, you can add so much flavor to any beans, dried or canned.
I agree.
Just one thing about beans, because you said can, it's really like, for me, it's like a meat. If you really want to have a slow cook, can is not a slow cooking for me. I criticize this. I don't want to go to this culture. I say easily we can make our own beans in our home and use it just for 1 week. We have time for that.
Yeah. And I think the cost effectiveness, buying dried beans, this is not the food of the elite. This is the world's cuisine. Everyone can afford them. But I think it is, as we have found, it's so intimidating if you've not grown up in a household where you dry beans. Now, growing up,
dried beans.
We're cooking with dried beans, yes, and not drying them, but cooking with dried beans. Growing up in New Orleans, everyone uses dried kidney beans to make red beans and rice, and And I'd say that they're cooked to such a degree that they lose almost any structure to them. What I love hearing, Mab, you describing is by separating them, the beans maintain their structure, and then you layer the flavors on by adding in different. That's so different from how I grew up using beans. And that's what's so exciting, is there's so many different approaches. I want to be
just because so many people, they don't like beans because of the stomach issue they have, is because lots of the digesting things. So separating water from beans, adding cumin or cinnamon is make balance, and digesting is get more comfortable. That's the point I want.
To help you digest better, yes.
Great.
So Giselle, I want to be cognizant of time because I imagine we have a hard stop. And I know we've still got one more sort of outro film to show, which is about 3 minutes. Is there a question or two that we should field, or is that going to get us into trouble time-wise?
No, nobody's getting in trouble, I promise. And it's totally okay if we go over the hour a little bit. But
okay.
I know that those of you out there probably gave yourself the hour to do this. So one thing I do want to mention is that a lot of you have asked about recipes, and I will send a follow-up email to everyone registered for this session with links to League of Kitchens, Meatless Monday, social media, lots and lots of recipes, to Mob's virtual cooking classes that are coming up, and the other League of Kitchens virtual cooking classes. Meatless Monday has tons of recipes, and Slow Food International alongside Meatless Mondays, lots more. So I'll send you links to all of those in a follow-up email. So after you get inspired on this webinar, you can head into your kitchen with lots of those recipes, and they're really great. So I just wanted to mention that if you're looking for recipes, and if it's okay with Lisa and Mirta, I'll also include the chimichurri recipe in there. So as far as questions go, I think that we want to find the bingo activity, which I will also send a link to that. That sounds like a lot of fun and a great idea. I think that we can just go ahead into the video from here. There's a question about, for Dana, on figures about, people sort of converting to vegetarianism after first starting on Meatless Mondays. And I think you touched on that a little bit, like one day makes it easier to go to 2 days, 3 days, and that sort of thing. At least, long time ago, that's definitely my experience. You start with one and it's a lot easier to go into more. So Dana, if you want to add anything to that, great. And then also advice on doing Meatless Monday in schools, which maybe there's a good person to reach out to for that, or place to go for some support or ideas on how to get Meatless Monday going in a school, which I think institutional food buying is huge. So it's kind of a topic in and of itself, but definitely want to support that impetus. So Dana and Richard, if you want to add anything to that, or Mob and Lisa, anything about recipes that I didn't mention, again, I'll send all those links so you guys have that after this session is over for sure. So if any of the four of you want to add anything else, go for it, and then we can move into that video.
Yeah, I'm happy to tackle your first two questions, and I won't be long-winded because I really eventually will just direct you to our website. But you're right, starting a habit on a Monday, research has shown helps you maintain it throughout the week. So if we use Meatless Monday as an example, if you try Meatless Monday on a Monday, science shows that you're more likely to try it again another day during the week. So we just feel like we are the tipping point for getting people to, get more plant-based foods into their diet. We recognize that people aren't going to become vegetarian or vegan overnight, and we don't even live in that space. We really try to get people 1 day a week, go plant-based. You'll probably like the way you feel. You'll know you did something good for the planet, and then you'll take it on, hopefully, a few more days throughout the week, and that's sort of the progression we want to see. And then in terms of schools, we do a ton of work with getting Meatless Monday into schools. And while I can't talk about all the nuances there, I will say that we have robust resources on our website, so meatlessmonday.com, and you could sort through and find either K through 12 information or colleges and university information. But I would be a point person if you had specific questions or wanted help, or needed like individual advice that wasn't so standardized on our site. in terms of how to get schools going, principals involved, mayors, city leaders, or maybe just the food service team, we can certainly give advice and give our recommendations on how to get that going.
If I can just quickly add, I particularly love the public health tried and tested approach for behavior change. Mondays are days where people make commitments and make change, and there is a logic to making these changes your habitual ritual. And if I can also, make an aside that our partnership with Meatless Monday began out of the slow meat work, where we, as an organization, Slow Food is not a vegetarian organization, though many of us are, but it is committed to better meat and less meat. And Meatless Monday is a marvelous strategy to reach our slow food goal of meat reduction, and hence the partnership. And I think also hence why it's exciting what we'll show you in our outgoing video of how there is a world of vegetable-centric foods that are part of Slow Food's work, and I think as Lisa has pointed out, are part of the League of Kitchens work, because there is such a world of culinary techniques that until you get to experience it in a tactile fashion, it just seems intimidating and beyond reach.
I'll just say one quick thing is that, we've only been doing our online classes for a few weeks, but Damira, our Uzbek instructor, is teaching how to make these butternut squash, cumin, onion stuffed pastries made from scratch with a delicious radish salad with labneh and fresh herbs on the side. And then Mab is teaching the lima bean, dill, garlic, onion dish with rice with tahdig. So how to make that kind of crispy tahdig. She uses a tortilla, then topped with cumin, sauteed onions. And what we found actually is the online format works really well for actually teaching people new techniques. Like with Damira, learning how to make this pastry dough, I've seen her demonstrate it 1,000 times. I've never tried it. And then to actually do it step by step in my own kitchen, I did it. And I felt amazingly accomplished that I made these incredible pastries.
So you're in your own kitchen,
yes,
doing what you're doing while
right,
she's in her own kitchen.
Right, and interacting. So like Matt, I never had made tahdig for the same reason. And then last week, I made tahdig with Mab live, where she showed it. I did it in my kitchen. I asked her questions. You show what you're doing. And miraculously, you end up with this incredible meal in your kitchen. It's actually very so cool. I was not into it, and now I'm super into it.
It's wonderful. I think I agree. We've seen a similar thing with Slow Food Live, and people, because I personally am very much an active learner, and so I need to be doing the thing for it to stick. So it helps a lot. And I just want to reiterate something that I think all of you have said in some form, which is we've had some cookbook authors on Slow Food Live who have taught some cooking sessions, and Mob is alluding to this, and I think there's a push to trust your own instinct with cooking. Like Mirta is saying, if you have cilantro or mint or another herb, try it out, give it a shot. And I think it's especially good with vegetables. You might get a box of veggies because you are now picking it up from your farmer's market or however it's working for you. I have a CSA, which is the way I was introduced to my favorite vegetables. But I think that it's a thing to lean into, to trust your own instinct and try it out while we have the time and we're in our kitchens. And if you're in a class with Mob and you don't have one of the things that she has, like to explore in that way. And I think we can get much more comfy with really exciting meatless cooking by just kind of giving it a shot, by trusting your own instincts and your own taste. I think this is something that I make the mistake of, like, just taste it. Does it taste good? Then it's good. And then you did it right.
I think you're right. I mean, Damira's pumpkin pastries so inspired me. But down the street on the rotting shelf in the grocery store, which I'm a regular visitor to the rotting shelf, they had a giant bag of parsnips. So I tried making it with parsnips, and it was divine. I don't know if Damira would approve, but I liked what I found.
But that's the thing. It's interesting, as we've been doing the classes and people do have different substitutions, we've actually been having very interesting conversations with our instructors And you realize like, oh, all of these recipes were created over the generations from what people had. And, you know, if they moved, if they had new ingredients, if there was a new trade route that opened, a new ingredient, you know, things changed. So it's the
And you
same.
improvise.
Right.
Yeah.
It's, nothing is sacrosanct. Like, yes, I always say if you're making, you know, Mob's dish or Demira's dish with a lot of substitutions, maybe in non-quarantine time, you might want to try the traditional version to see what it's like, and then you can riff. But like, it's always open and flexible, you know? It's just, as our Lebanese instructor always says, it's just food. Don't worry. Don't be stressed. It's just food, you know?
Yes, I agree. And my mother is Lebanese, and I make a lot of Lebanese food, and she just hates the idea of me changing the recipe. But it's like, you know what? I don't have any parsley right now, but I have kale, so I'm gonna make tabbouleh with kale, just the same format. Try it out. And she's like, no, you can't do that. But I say, okay, but maybe it's just a different dish. Also delicious, but we'll call it different. I certainly have all the respect and honor in the world for my family's traditional Lebanese dishes, but you can have both, I think. So if you're ready, we can toss over to this video, and then we'll come back to say goodbye to you all. So
Terrific.
Don't go away. But if you're ready, I'll go ahead and share this video here.
Wonderful.
Let's see.
I'm Udi Goldschmidt, and I'm with the Slow Food in Jerusalem.
I'm from Tokyo in Japan.
And I'm from Kenya.
Mustica.
Russia.
I'm from Italy.
South of Italy.
Portugal.
Piedmont.
Merida, Yucatan.
I'm from India, and according to me, meatless food is a healthy diet.
These are the pepita, the calabaza. So it's from the local pumpkin from Yucatan.
We have local vegetables such as black nightshade. We have amaranthus. We have spider plant.
Cicerchia. It's a leguminous. The English name is a grass pea.
We have pumpkin leaves. We have others called cajorola leaves.
We produce lentils. It's a presidium product of slow food.
We have mito, and the list is endless.
A lot of grains are available, like amaranth, like millets, like quinoa.
The local produce, it's what inspires me daily to create all my recipes. Spaghetti with tomato. Very simple and Italian, 100% Italian.
Leftovers of the Shabbat traditional meal. It's called sabich, which is a street food from Israel. You have to try it because this is part of the presentation.
We have ugali that is normally accompanied by different kinds of vegetables. It's like polenta in Italian.
Oh my God, I'm dripping. And now you have to taste the tahini sauce.
It's the ratatouille that is all made with the vegetables.
My favorite is the kasha with buckwheat. For me, it's super food, powerful and energetic for me.
We use a lot of legumes during the winter with the vegetables of the season.
Hak sag, which is a simple green leafy vegetable served with rice, and it's awesome.
Sikilpak, which is completely vegetarian, like this super hearty sauce that you can put it either over pasta or just to eat with some chips.
Curry. It will have nutrients like the proteins, the carbohydrates. It's a full meal.
Sometimes I fry tofu, but sometimes I put tofu in soup with rice.
Rajma chawal, so the rice along with the lentils. It's a very, very staple food in our Indian homes and very healthy, very tasty.
Farinata. So farinata is made practically with chickpeas flour, olive oil, water and salt. Really easy.
Terrestre beans we serve with rice and local mushrooms, and it's a perfect dish to Meatless Monday.
People should increase consumption of vegetable more and lower the meat consumption to make sure that they remain healthy.
It's going to be very delicious.
Now we have to try this.
Just seeing all those people, doesn't it make you yearn to see people?
Yeah.
Really extraordinary. What was also extraordinary is one of the leaders from Kenya was describing all these vegetable dishes from Kenya, a place known for how much they devour meat. And what I found spending time with Slow Food Kenya is that they eat so many vegetables, and it's not known just how many. And right now in the post-COVID or the COVID era that we are in, working with many of the public markets in East Africa and in Bangladesh, there is such a growing desire to find the vegetables like never before because of the important antioxidant qualities. So there is the context continues to evolve as the situation evolves. And it was fun to be able to share that extraordinary trip with Meatless Monday, traveling to Terra Madre Salone del Gusto and finding the world of vegetable dishes out there that maybe is a great way to end up on this Meatless Monday. Thank you, Mab and Lisa and Dana for joining us, and Giselle and Anna, thank you for setting up the Slow Food Live, which has been a wonderful way to connect with people as we are stuck at home.
And if you're cooking today, since it's Monday, of course, and Meatless Monday, share your meal with us on social media. So put that hashtag Meatless Monday on there, and you can tag Slow Food USA, Meatless Monday, and the League of Kitchens, and show us what you made. I think definitely check out League of Kitchens online classes. They're looking very cool. And go over to Meatless Monday for recipes. If you're not quite sure what you're having for lunch or dinner today, you can find your next meal there. And share it with us. Let us know how it's going, and then share it with your friends. Like Dana was mentioning, you know, it moves quickly if we can all get excited about it. And it's easy to keep up with all of these great people. Thank you so much for being here today, all four of you. I really appreciate your time and for your wisdom and inspiration and everything that you do. So thanks for joining us, and we'll keep in touch with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for your great work. We'll send a follow-up email to everybody. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your Meatless Monday, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining today.
Bye.